Yeah, man.
I actually, low key, I feel like the conversation we had before the show was actually me telling you like, yeah, I had to get some mental discipline. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the
Yep.
conversation we had before the show, I was telling Dion, I'm not gonna spill all the beans, but basically that like, you know, when I build brands, because I do it for a living, and usually I get about, especially when I'm hired professionally contractor, they give you about 3 to 6 months to build the brand, and then that motherfucker better
Yep.
keep going, or they
Yep.
gonna move on or reallocate budgets, whatever. So you kind of got to take most brands that you build, especially on social, and get them shits going and pump it out overnight. Even look at what we did. Like this has been around for a month at this point. We didn't post it but if you add up all the sites, I didn't post it at least 200 clips, which is a lot of fucking clips.
Yep.
It's a lot of goddamn clips.
Yep.
A lot of titles. So,
Yep.
but it takes mental discipline to just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna make sure that it continues to go so that way it moves. Versus like other stuff I've done, you know, you want to move that fast, but when you build in businesses, especially like, you know, with the comedy club or an event space, you gotta build that momentum up. It's a lot different than getting on the internet and just pumping out a bunch of content, and then you throw some ad dollars behind it, and now you got views. It's different to move bodies. So we were kind of talking about that, and I was telling you, like, yeah, I had to change my mental discipline because I was trying to tackle events the way that I tackle the internet, and they just two different type of skill sets. So, you know, I have to switch that. And I think part of that mental discipline of just not wanting to fail and just being like, yo, I don't want to fail, so I gotta lock in. And if the discipline comes with me having to look internally and change something that I think that I'm doing wrong, then I got to take that level of accountability. And I think a lot of time these days, a lot of people don't like to take accountability for their mistakes and grow up on them. They make excuses for those mistakes. And I don't like calling you when things go bad, making excuses for it, because you're usually going to say, shut the fuck up, like, keep going. We'll be all right. So at that point, and not in a negative way, I don't want y'all to hear it, but like, Dion don't care. Now, Dion, one of my best friends in the world, he loved me, bro. Like I wouldn't want him to die for me, but I'm sure he'd take a bullet for me if we was in a real situation. That's my guy.
Absolutely.
Vice versa. But like at the same time, it's a little, you know, it's little pieces of discipline that I pick up from you, even just, like I said, watching you get up every day and put all that food and them vegetables and that water in that fridge. Watching you do that for 4 years really changed something to me. I'm like, if he can get up and do that, making these podcasts ain't nothing. So making these clips ain't nothing. I'm in the crib, you be in the cold.
Oh, listen,
Low light, and then out that motherfucker, you FaceTime me, man, it's cold as shit, bro. About to get about and fill the fridge up. All right, I'll see you later, bro.
But I think with this, with mental discipline specifically, it's the discipline of, which is what I appreciate about you. It's funny because I don't, you know, like I haven't told you often, but I, you know what I mean, like what I.
But I hate you. But I fucking hate you. I haven't told you this often, but I fucking hate you.
Nah, man. I you know, like I want to take a moment because I think what I'm about to say applies to you too. Is like, you know, with this discipline, it's really about teaching people not to get too low. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, there's a certain line that I never want to cross day in and day out. You're gonna occasionally find yourself there. But, you know, why I would tell you to shut up is because I never want you to get that low. You know what I mean? And I want you to hold the line. You know what I mean? And I think that when we talk about, you know, mental discipline is so important because, you know, I'm not a religious person, but I am spiritual. But I do believe, you know, wholeheartedly in manifestation. You know what I mean? I do believe that what we think, you know what I mean? Like, and what we feel, you know, can be manifested. And I think that it's important to understand that, you know, if you're somebody that believes in manifestation, at any point, whether you believe in a little bit or a lot, then you have to hold yourself accountable to manifesting what you want to manifest. And I just think that, you know, I don't ever look at you as the sum of all of your failures. You know what I mean? I look at you as, you know, in spite of anything that you may view as negative, you are still as shiny and as dope and as impactful and as great and as prolific and as historical as I think you are. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, when that. I think that when you drop $100 bill in the mud is still $100. You know what I mean?
That's
And
a
I think
bar.
that,
Assistant, write the quote down.
and so
You got to be
when we
the new
talk
unk
about,
out here with your sayings. You've been listening to Shannon Sharp too much. You know, my
Listen,
grandmama
man.
told me that if you put a fat hog in the middle of the rain, it's still gonna be a little dirty.
he was like, listen. My grandfather told me. He said, listen now. He said, you open that fridge, you go out to eat. Okay. Because listen, man. Okay. Porcupine, serpentine. All right.
Now go ahead and say it, LeBron.
Pretty fine. Lakers at 5. And so, nah, man, I think that when we talk about mental discipline, I think that, there's this farce, right? There's this thing that makes people believe that they can't stay in that place. That special place where they create, the special place where they're impactful, and they can only be there temporarily, and then they have to be a realist, and they have to be, they have to get back to real life. And I said, no, the moment I refused to leave that space is the moment my life changed. 30 years of abiding by the rules, 30 years of waiting my turn, 30 years of not, of thinking that I have to be a realist. And the moment I said, no, fuck that. The moment I said, I'm going for it, I'm snatching it, it's mine. The moment when things may not work out and I don't get low. The moment when motherfuckers gotta feel me, no matter what. That's
Sound
what
like DM. You've been listening too much DMX. You motherfuckers gotta feel me. What?
Bro, listen, man, listen. And so, that mental discipline is extremely important. You know what I mean?
So
Like
I know my neighbors like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
No, it's gonna be real when they bang on a wall and say DMX back to you.
No.
I said, you gotta feel me.